another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video, wherever you are, whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you jump on here live here on this Thursday evening, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. Tonight I want to talk some college football, and now that we're in the middle of June, and I know that college football is so popular, I'm probably going to be doing probably on average 2, maybe 3 videos a week from here to September that are going to be about college football. Good evening, Kevron. And then, of course, if you follow the channel, you know that when college football season starts, I always come on here sometime during the week and do a video where I preview all the games coming up that weekend. And then usually on Sundays, but sometimes on Mondays, I review not all the games, but at least, the big time competitive games from that Saturday. So once the season starts, I do a minimum of 2 videos per week. During the off season, I try to throw one in here and there just to give you a little taste of the season being on the way. But now that it's mid-June, I'll probably do about 2 videos per week, 3 every now and then about college football. Tonight we're going to talk about the teams that have the best chance to win the 2025 National Championship. Now, this is according to ESPN. Now, everybody knows I'm not a big believer in ESPN at all. I think they're the biggest brainwashing company in the world, but it works for them because so many people believe what they sell you. So if what they're doing is working, they're not going to change it. But to me, I feel like an idiot when they tell me stuff that I know good and well is not true, and they want me to believe it. But, a lot of times, hey there, Nathan. Glad to have you here on this Thursday evening. Nathan, I think it's the first time I've seen your name in the comments section. If it is, thank you for being here. Maybe you've been here before, and I have just forgotten. If so, I apologize. But when I found this article, it said, hey, Joey, everything is going fantastic. Thank you for asking. It said best chances to win the national championship. But just looking at the odds and, reading these results, I think it's teams that have the best chance to make the playoffs, but the article did say best chance to win the national championship, so we'll go with that. But I think it's the best chance to make the playoffs. Nathan, we're fixing to talk some college football, and Hill, glad to have you here. Nathan, Joey, Hill, hopefully all of y'all can give the video a like and a thumbs up. And if you have not yet subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. I could have made this a top 10 countdown, but I didn't because, for one, I'm counting down, but I'm counting up. I'm starting to get 1 and going up instead of starting at 10 and going down for 2. The top 10 countdown was yesterday for 3. This is a 12-team list and not a 10-team list. Hey there, Jacob. I had a fantastic day. Thank you for asking. Hey there, Funny. Glad to have you here. JD, I'm fixing to talk some college football. JD, I found this article on Google from ESPN, and the article said it's best chances to win the national championship. So that's how I wrote it down. But just looking at it and reading the odds, I think it's the 12 teams that have the best chance to make the playoffs. But the article said best chance to win the national championship. And thank you, funny for admiring my accent. It's not as bad as some people's accent. I try to not necessarily hide mine, but not make it obvious by using some of the slang terms and slang words that Southerners use, but I can't really hide my accent when you've lived in the South all your life. You kind of just have it whether you want it or not. And Hill, I am from Georgia. Thank you for asking. JD says, yeah, I got you. Clemson has to have pretty good odds. Josh Pate has picked them already as his national champion. You know, JD, I heard that a couple of weeks ago. I've been listening to a lot of sports talk the last couple of weeks. For one, to hear all the NASCAR conversation. For two, trying to figure out what some of the experts might have to say about, why the Braves are struggling so bad. For three, just trying to learn what I can learn as we head towards, college football season. This is the time of the year where you start hearing, previews and predictions and the smack talk and all that. And Funny says, your accent's amazing. If you were on the radio, I'd think you're the average, honest to God, God-fearing American who does a hard day's labor. And, well, everything you said, Funny, is perfect until the very end. I'm not a drinker at all. Now, if you said cracks open a tea or a Mountain Dew, I'm right there with you. And it's funny you say radio, Funny, because I actually do work in radio part-time. When high school football starts, I do color commentary work for the local high school football team here, and then I do some play-by-play and color commentary work for the local high school basketball team here. And Hill says, what if you were in a movie? And Hill, I've actually been in a movie. It's only on YouTube. It's never going to be a big movie, but you can find it on YouTube. But it's about wrestling, because next month I'll be celebrating 18 years in the wrestling business. And that was an independent wrestling movie filmed back in 2022. And I was in that movie for maybe 5 minutes. And I'm glad you think I have a radio voice, Funny, because that's why I work in radio. My very first job when I was in high school was in radio, so that's why I have the radio voice. JD said there was a random guy from Colorado today hyping up Sellers. It is talking season. JD, I heard some people yesterday in the upstate of South Carolina that were talking about, Lenore Sellers, and is he going to take a big step forward this year, or step backwards, or stay the same? Because me personally, I think he's going to be about the same quarterback, but they've lost so much on defense, and they don't really have any fantastic playmakers at wide receiver, that I think even if Sellers was to get better, you wouldn't know it. But I don't think their record's going to be better than last season. They just lost too much on defense. And Hill, I have a beautiful wife and 3 children. If anybody follows me on Facebook, there's a picture of my wife on my Facebook page, and you can go to my photo gallery and see my kids. But Hill, I used to have an intro video to all my videos, and it would always play before the video, and you would see my wife and our kids in the video. But I stopped doing that because we filmed that intro video probably 2 years ago and just never had time to do a new one. And I was like, you know what? People are going to think that my kids aren't getting bigger, and they're going to get tired of seeing these same photos and hearing this same song, so I'm just going to scrap it. But if you go back in the day on the YouTube page to where when I had the intro video, you can see my wife and our kids. And JD, I do look forward to our future collaborations. Hopefully, we can do something here in the next couple of weeks. But on to this list that ESPN says is the best chance to win the national championship, but I think it's the best chance to make the playoffs. Number one, they have Texas. They're 83.9. Georgia, 78.6. Ohio State, 70.6. Alabama, 66.2. And Penn State, 63.8. And Oregon is 57.5. Now, that's 6 of the 12. Before I talk about the other 12, let me first make a couple of comments about the top half of the list. For one, I know ESPN loves Alabama. They're all about Alabama, but they were big on Bama last year, and I said here on the channel that I didn't think Bama was going to be that good, and they weren't. And maybe this year I'll be right again, and maybe ESPN knows something I don't know, but I'm not a big fan of Alabama's quarterback room at all. Whichever one they choose, to me, is not going to matter. I don't think any of them are any good. I think Bama's a 8-win team, maybe, but maybe I'm wrong. Also, Texas, I think this is the year that Texas needs to either win the national championship or at least get close. And Funny says, I don't necessarily follow college games, but I'm subbing you just because you're a nice, honest, and humble dude. I like you, man. You represent the goodness of America. Appreciate that. Funny. And yes, Jacob, I will be at SWA Saturday night. And, JD, I had hopes on DeBoer because he had been successful everywhere he'd ever coached. And I thought, well, if this man's never had a losing season and he's taking over to Alabama, they're going to be great. And then by week 3, I thought, man, this team's missing something. But apparently, they're going to go with Ty at quarterback, and DeBoer is high on him and thinks highly of him and thinks he's a quarterback that fits his system. So maybe they go 11-1. I just don't see it. But I think it's the year that Texas needs to make some noise because ever since they've hired Steve Sarkisian, all we hear about every year is Texas, 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 Texas. And granted, they are better than what they were before Steve Sarkisian, so I'm not going to sit here and say they haven't improved because they have, but so far, for the most part, what he's done is put up great offensive numbers against crappy teams, look really good against crappy teams, but when he plays teams that are as good as him or better than him, he loses. And this is the year where they're supposed to be better than last year, and all the experts have them either in the top 5 or number 1, winning the national title or making it there. So if they go to the playoffs and they're out first round, it's definitely a disappointing season. JD says, I thought he'd be good too, but I don't know. I call the Bama Gamecocks game a 50-50 game. I'll give a slight edge, JD, to Alabama, but nothing big. Of course, there's probably somewhere already a point spread out, but I say by the time the game gets here, unless one of the teams either really overachieves or underachieves, it's probably going to be Bama picked by 4 or 5 points. But I'll give a slight edge to Bama, but not by a whole lot. And then the bottom half of the list, we have number 7, Clemson at 47.3. Miami, 46.3. Notre Dame, 45.6. And it's amazing that 8 and 9, Miami and Notre Dame play each other. First game of the season. Tennessee, number 10, 38.5. Texas A&M, number 11, 34.3. And number 12, Ole Miss at 30.7. And I went back and looked at this list again, and this list came out just a couple of days ago, so it's pretty doggone recent. But either ESPN's just picking the Vols because we know ESPN's in bed with the SEC, or they know something I don't know. But before Nico transferred, I had Tennessee as maybe a 10-win team. After he transferred, I did a video about them, and I picked them to win 9 games only because I don't really see a lot of tough games on their schedule outside of the normal tough games like Florida, Alabama, and Georgia. But, I picked them to win 9, but I can see them winning 8. But even if they win 9, they're going to beat everybody that's terrible and lose to everybody that's good. So, they might make the playoffs at 9-3 because of that, but they're not competing for a national championship. It's just not going to happen. And I seen Miami's schedule earlier today, and their schedule is an absolute joke. I mean, they play Notre Dame, and they play Florida State, who's not any good, and then they play Florida and maybe SMU. And outside of that, their schedule is awful. If Miami wins anything less than 9 games, they should shut their program down. I mean, there's no reason why they should win anything less than 9. Really, they should win 10 or 11, but maybe 9 if you lose to Florida and Notre Dame and SMU, and that's the most. Outside of those 3 games, their schedule is, just easy as it comes. But we know that Mario Cristobal will slip up and lose a game he shouldn't lose. He does it every year. And I seen on Tuesday that Texas A&M is picked to go 8-4 this year, and I thought, well, that's what they do. They're an 8-4 program. They should change their name from the Texas A&M Aggies to the Texas 8-4 Aggies. They're going to go 8-4 every year. That's what they do. And I think Clemson, I did a video about Clemson. I think it was sometime in May where I picked them to go 11-1, and I'll stand by that. That sounds pretty fair in my opinion. They finally got rid of idiot Wes Goodwin, Now, a lot of folks bash Dabo for hiring him. I'm not going to do that because you never know how good or bad somebody's going to be until you give him a shot. He was a great assistant, but he took over the job full time, and whatever he did, it just didn't work. So they got rid of him, and they have one of the best, if not the best, top to bottom wide receiver room in the country. They don't have the best wide receiver in the country, but I'm talking about top to bottom as a whole. If they don't have the best, they're top 5 in the country in wide receiver rooms. The defense is going to be much improved. Matt Luke, in one season as the offensive line coach, has turned that offensive line into being average at best to being, in my opinion, by the end of the season, they'll be top 10 in America. Just everything right now is going good for Clemson. Their 2026 recruiting class is already off to a good start. They've got a freshman named Gideon Davidson who's not going to start the season as their starting running back. I think Adam Randall will be the starter on day 1, game 1. But I think by mid-season, Gideon Davidson will be your starting running back. And this kid is going to be really special. So I think with the combination of Gideon Davidson eventually going to be the starting running back, having one of, if not the best, wide receiver rooms in the country, a much improved offensive line, and getting rid of Goodwin on defense and bringing in Tom Allen, who's phenomenal. If Clemson goes anything worse than 10-2, I think it'll be a letdown, but I'll stick with 11-1. But even 10-2, that's playoff caliber. But I'll stick with 11-1. Any thoughts on this besides what I've already gotten tonight? Please feel free to let me know. And Jacob, I look forward to seeing you hopefully Saturday at SWA at 2:44 Livestock Road, east of Nolly, Georgia. I did a video about it earlier in the week. Doors open at 6 o'clock, and bail time will be 7 o'clock. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. If at first you don't succeed, skydiving isn't for you. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.